is what you're made of. You are perfect and pure, even if you're not sure. It's what you're made of. L-O-V-E, love.
All right, we're on. Oh, everybody's paying attention. I love it. Because we're on a quest. And I'm looking for directions on my path, my spiritual path. Each day, each Sunday, we say, no single path is right for everyone, not even our own. Isn't that amazing? So you have an authentic path that's just for you. Everything in your life is shaped and molded by Spirit to help you stay on that path, that authentic path to your true self and to the God of all of us, the universal mind. But a true discovery of the mysteries of God and the universe requires an authentic search for the divine, an honest study of the principles of truth. It's been said that spirituality is a process of the soul, and religion is an attempt to define that process. It was developed to help us to stay on that path. When one honestly seeks the unfoldment of the soul, an authentic spiritual quest has begun. You are honestly seeking the unfoldment of your soul. That's when it begins. The spiritual journey cannot be contained to a single theological perspective. Thus, the experience of a living theology becomes essential as we evolve. Living theology means you're constantly learning, you're constantly experiencing, you're constantly changing, you're constantly expanding your mind and your heart, extending to others. And that's what we aspire to in Unity, is to be in a living, conscious theology. Theology, what is that anyway? Here's some standard definitions I came up with from the dictionary. Theology is the study of religious belief from a religious perspective. Now that one I'm going to talk about a little bit later on, because that's like a kind of a closed loop. It's a religious study from a religious perspective with a focus on the nature of divinity. But then your nature of divinity perspective is only coming from the perspective that you already had. You're not open to new perspectives. That's really important, to have new perspectives come in. Theology is the study of the nature of God and religious belief. Theology is also religious beliefs and theory when systematically developed. So there's theories about it. So now we're beginning to open our mind to new theories. What is God? What is the universe? Who are we? You know, it's all ideas that are coming through our minds. None of it is fixed. None of it is definite and this is the way it is. Because it's always expanding based on your experience. That's why we call it a living theology. Here's another one. Oh, I already did that one. Deja vu. I'm systematically developing my theory. But the next thing is the meaning of theology is the study of religious faith. Practice. I like that. You have to have practice in your theology. You can't just be intellectual. You have to have experience. Especially the study of God and God's relation to the world or your relation to the universe. So the question is, can we have a theology, a study of the nature of divinity without experiencing it? I don't think so. I mean, maybe we can. Maybe we can attempt to do that. And I think we have attempted to do that. But that would be a static, conceptual study. And by definition, by the first definition that I showed you, it would be a study of religion through a religious perspective. So it's a closed loop. There's not a lot of growth there. It's a study of something from a perspective that you won't let change. You just keep that same perspective. Now, if I'm just focused over here the whole time that I'm speaking, I have a perspective that these are the only people in the room. And these guys don't even exist to me because my focus and perspective is in this direction. And I'm missing all of this over here. And that's what we do in life. We focus on our perspective. That channel that you turn on the TV every day is the only perspective that you get. And I don't care which channel it is. Your perspective is on that little box. They've gotten bigger. TVs have definitely gotten bigger in size. But the perspective is still the same. Change the channel, my friends. Change that channel by your own decision to look at life differently. And if it's difficult, just ask for a different perspective. That could be your prayer. Today, give me a new perspective. Let me see this in a different way. There's always another way to see it. That's a great lesson from A Course in Miracles. There's always another way to look at this. And to me, that is an amazing thing, that I can look at this in a different way. So what I'm talking about today, what we're seeking in unity is an experience, experiential or living theology, which in my experience is the roadmap for growth, a blueprint for living, just like the song said, rather than a set of rules for avoiding eternal damnation. So what I'm talking about is an authentic spiritual quest, a true path directed by Spirit and accepted by your heart. It's a lifelong evolutionary process. It just keeps evolving. And you're accepting it in your heart as something that's good. You're not trying to avoid change anymore. Change is good. Many people characterize this quest as a spiritual path, not necessarily a religious one. In fact, many folks here today may have said at one time or another that they are spiritual, not religious. Right? When somebody says, whoa, what do you do? What is unity? What is your path? Well, I'm spiritual. I'm not necessarily religious. I'm not really a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. And it's been said that religion is for those who are afraid of going to hell, and spirituality is for those who have already been there. Now you laugh, and that's because you identify with that statement. All of us have been through some form of hell here on earth. And having gone through that experience, we know that there's a power that leads us out of it, back into harmony with all that is. We know there's a power, the one power, and the one presence that Bruce was alluding to there. Always leads us back to peace and harmony and healing and right relationships. Always. We've always made it through. You're sitting here today, aren't you? Everybody who's not here, raise your hand. Everybody raises their hand. You're all somewhere else. You've made it through 100% of the challenges that have been presented to you in your life so far. You are 100% successful in overcoming those challenges, or you wouldn't be sitting here today. You've made it through, and you're standing here now. You're sitting here now. I'm standing here before you as evidence that there is one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life. I'm not afraid of going back because I learned those lessons. If you don't learn the lessons, you will do it again until you learn it. And that's okay too. But think of this moment as all there is. rather than where I'm going. Where am I right now in my consciousness? This is the place where the authentic spiritual quest begins, right here and right now. Now, that's a loaded statement, the one I just made. And I don't entirely agree with it, but a true, authentic religious quest can also be a spiritual one. So I'm not here to bash religion at all. I am here to say, though, however, human beings, some human beings have hijacked religion and taken it away from the spiritual quest and have used it to control through fear. Fear of going to hell. That's the biggest fear there is. Well, if you've already been there, you're not afraid of it anymore. And that's just the way that goes. I ran across a statement this week which explains a little bit closer to how I feel about it. And not entirely, but a little bit closer. The spiritual religious dynamic. I'm spiritual, not religious, because I do feel that religion itself was born from spirituality, not the other way around. See how that works? Religion was built from a spiritual experience that someone had, and then many more people had. So I'm not here to say that that's wrong. I'm just here to say, are you authentically having a spiritual experience no matter what your path is? Because that's the important thing, an authentic spiritual experience. There's a retired Unity minister that I read something he wrote. Spirituality does not come from religion, it comes from the soul. We must stop confusing religion and spirituality. He goes on to say, religion is a set of rules, regulations, and rituals created by humans which were supposed to help people spiritually. But due to human imperfection, religion has become corrupt, political, divisive, and a tool for power struggle. Spirituality is not theology or ideology. It's simply a way of life, pure and original, as established by principle. Spirituality is a network linking us to principle, the universe, and each other. And even though spirituality is not a theology or ideology, because it's guided by principle, pure experience, it thus contains a different kind of study. The study of spirit through the lens of your authentic spiritual experience, not someone else's experience. We're not here to worship or to follow anything. We're here to wake up and have an authentic experience of our own connection to God or the universe. So remember, one of the definitions of theology is the study of religion from a religious perspective. Well, the living theology just shifts your perspective. Yes, it becomes now a network of pure spiritual experience that I'm connected to. Whatever experience you're having, I'm connected to that. The other morning, Lily's got a new practice of meditating early in the morning. And I felt her like there was a shift. It was a very clear moment that the energy in the house shifted. You could feel it. It was like someone flipped a switch. Just like when the heat comes on in the morning. Everything warms up. And this beautiful light filled the house. And I was like, oh, Lily's meditating. And she says, yes, and I was including you in my metta meditation, sending me kind wishes. So it works, guys. It's there. And it's authentic and it's real. But it only works if we do it. If we're talking about someone else's experience, that's fine, but it's not really, our authentic experience. We need to have ours. We need to include our practice in our theology. It has to be living. So we still have challenges, of the human imperfections. Oops, I missed that one. I didn't make a slide of that one. Okay, but I'm going to tell you anyway. We still have the challenges of human imperfection. What this Reverend Kent said was, due to human imperfection, religion has changed. And we still have those imperfections, but now we can grow through them instead of being ruled by them. We can grow through them. We can learn our lessons of how our imperfections have affected our spiritual path. We can have a new perspective of learning. Yeah, I don't know everything. There's so much of the universe I don't know, and that's an authentic quest. That's an authentic and true asking the universe, what is mine to do? Opening your heart to experience. Because all the concepts in the world and all experiences of others, doesn't matter how powerful they are, will not help you until you're experiencing it for yourself. If we realize that this spiritual experience comes from our soul, our higher mind, our most loving self, then that's an honest search for truth. That's our authentic quest for light, the light of God and the universe in us. That's when we begin to really seriously seek that experience. And we'll go to our practice every day. We will go to our practice of prayer and meditation and everything else, all the things that you study. We will go there first. Instead of first turning on the TV or first talking about others or first complaining about life or whatever it is that we habitually do, we will first go to our spiritual experience. We'll go to prayer and meditation and mindfulness. We'll be mindfully cooking those meals for each other. We'll be mindfully doing that gardening for one another. We will mindfully be speaking to one another and gathering together and enjoying our families. We will be mindfully working in our careers. We will be mindfully, prayerfully, and purposefully interacting with this world. And it's a whole lot of fun. It's so much more fun than just continually striving to meet goals, continually striving to accumulate more, continually striving to reach, certain pinnacles of material success. You're just not going to find it there. It's not there, and you won't find it there. You will find it in your connection to God, to all that is, and to each other, and to the planet. You will find it there for sure, because you will find it within. And that connection that we feel with one another, we have it. We have it. It's there. We just have to open up to it, to feel it, and we will find what we're looking for. If you ever wonder, as I have, how human beings can so blindly believe so many ancient and destructive theological tenets, it is because these ideas are never questioned. They're not speaking. These ideas are not speaking or remotely related to your experience in the modern world. In this present moment. They're not related to it at all. The theology has remained in the past while your experience has grown and expanded. And I'm not suggesting that we completely disregard religion entirely, but I am suggesting that you consider the fact that spirituality does not come from religion. Religion came from spirituality. And perhaps we can still retain the essence of the authentic spiritual quest undertaken by the mystics, the teachers, the gurus, and the masters of all the world's religions. We don't have to just disregard that. Some people say, I hate the Bible, I'm never reading the Bible. That's because you've misused it, misinterpreted it, mistranslated it, and misused it. That doesn't mean that I can't still benefit from it if I can metaphysically interpret it to something that's useful for my spiritual quest. Don't throw anything out. Go to the core and seek the truth in it. Because I truly believe that our species will only survive if we have a spiritual transformation. The survival of our species will depend on the spiritual transformation of the individual and our ability to connect ourselves to the whole. And this is why, my friends, Unity on Cape Cod employs a living theology. We are spiritual, not necessarily religious. And as a community, we've been transformed really from a church to a spiritual center. That's where our transition and our transformation is heading. And it's natural and it's beautiful, but it depends on your authentic spiritual quest and your authentic experience. And if the survival of the species is dependent on it, let's be about it. Let's forget all the other stuff. And let's be about supporting one another completely in our spiritual path. I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at unityonCapeCod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.